back to Wild and Free Art. I'm Laura, and today I have a bit of a different video for you. In some of the groups that I'm admin of, I can speak, I know I can. We are organizing a crafty advent calendar swap. And I can link both of those groups down below. It's the Junk Journal Community Chat Room UK and Junk Journal Europe. And because this swap needs to be posted out, I had to think of the best way to keep the size contained. And I came up with these two ideas to make a mini advent calendar, so to speak, using things that we all probably have. And so I'm going to show you these two ways. They're small enough, they're contained enough that they shouldn't cost too much to post anywhere. And if you don't overfill it, they shouldn't be too chunky either. Hopefully you can get away with a large letter, depending on how much weight you put in it. I mean, there's obviously various things, but size-wise, hopefully we should be able to do that. And then after I've shown you how to make the structures, basically, of both of these, I'll show you some examples of what you could put in to your little advent calendar as part of your surprise gifts that you're doing. So the first one I'll show you is this one. Probably it's the fastest, I don't know, they're not all necessarily fast, but it's one of the easier ones to do. Basically, it's a giant accordion folder that is double-sided, and I have made little slip pockets that you can add your little mini gift into. So I'm just trying to find something. Here we go, a piece of rubbish. So there you go. You have a little numbered pocket and it just tucks into here, and then they go to the next page on the next day and they open it up and they see what's inside. You can obviously wrap everything up in like other little things and whatnot. It's got a nice little festive theme going, and once they reach day 12, they can keep going through to 24. They can display it. They can, you know, it's basically pretty self-explanatory. So this is idea number one. Idea number two is a little bit, it's easier to make the structure, but we'll put it this way, a little bit more difficult to fill the spaces. So I was just, you know, having a nosy around YouTube as you do. And I came upon this lady who did a pocket-filled journal made of paper bags. And I can't remember her name right now, but I saved the video, so I will look it up. I'll pop her name there and I'll link the original video below as well. And when I saw her creation, I thought this would be just perfect for the advent calendar swap. So this is my take on it. Basically, all you need is paper bags, lunch bags, and glue, and some scissors, and your decorative elements. So this is the cover, and it's basically filled with like little pocket. So you've got one pocket here that you can put something in, and I've just put numbers randomly on this one. I've made an extra little pocket here, a little belly band, so that's already 3 spots on one page that you can put on. Oh, that came undone. I need to re-glue that. For this one, I've made one pocket here, one pocket here. This is a little tuck spot also, so you can put something in here. And this is where it gets really interesting, and her idea was really creative. So at this point, it looks normal, right? So I've got one little tuck spot here that I've made. I have, you know, obviously this one, and I've made this but there's a spot here, a pocket here. And if I lift this another page with another pocket, and then you flip over and you have a whole other thing. So I've made a pocket here, a little tuck, and this is the original tuck spot here that I will include something in. And then, you know, just slides, pops closed, and you move on to your next one. And here I've made a little pocket here. This one I did, once I can get something under it, a belly band. You've got your pocket here, the hidden one. Then no, I didn't do that, did I? No, I just covered it. I thought I did. And then here you've got your little tuck spot. You've got your extra page, and you have this pocket here. This is my little tucking spot. You can write little notes. You can do what you like here. You know, obviously you can embellish it how you want. And then here we've got belly band again, a little pocket here, pocket here. You've got your pocket here, your surprise, your pocket, and I made a little band here. Or did I dot? Yes, I did. I really need to re-glue some of these. And a little belly band there. And of course, you've got your little tuck spot here. And you can hide that and close your book. And you are ready to go. So they're both similar, but different. They don't require a lot of extra supplies. Speed-wise, I would say this one is faster and more straightforward to make because it's just very repetitive. You just repeat the same thing over and over and over again. This one, I mean, making the base takes like 5 minutes, but then decorating it and adding extra tuck spots and hidden things and interactive elements, that takes a little bit more time. But what's really good about this one is that it's like an infinity journal. So if you start, so I started with 3 bags and then I said, oh, I need a bit more. So I just added on, even while I was working on the rest of it, added on an extra bag using the method that she had. And then I just had all these extra spots to do on. And if your interactive elements are quite large or take up a whole page or whatnot, you can just keep adding paper bags to make it as many pockets and tuck spots and whatnot as you want. So it's really quite nice in that sense there because you can kind of build it as you go. So I am just going to gather my materials and I will show you how to make the basic construction of the body of these ones. So this one is going to be maybe a bit more of the body, and because part of it is the decorative elements. And this one I'm just going to make the base with the paper bags so that you can see how it works. And then I will obviously decorate them off camera and then we can fill them together with some ideas. And hopefully if you're participating in the Advent calendar swap, this will give you some ideas of what to send to your partner. So I will just gather everything and I will be back. Okay, so we are back and we're going to make this one first, the accordion style one. So what you're going to need is, I mean, obviously the decorating part and all that, it's up to you. But to make the structure, you're going to need some large pieces of paper. For my original one, I used these, which is just, yeah, ledger paper. But they're A3 sized, and I used 6 pieces of this. But I thought maybe other people don't have it, and it needs to be somewhat thin-ish paper because otherwise it's going to get really bulky once you add the cardstock to it. I thought that maybe we could try doing this example together using Amazon packaging. And packing paper, cut more or less to the size of an A3 sheet. You'll need a couple of these because I figured this is something that we all have more or less on hand. You could use packing paper. You can use whatever it is that you've got that's not cardstock already. Unless you have giant decorated double-sided cardstock, in which case probably life might be a bit easier. And then you'll need some decorative scrapbooking paper or whatever that is themed if you so want. I got this pad for just £5 at the Works. And it's fine for, it's all right. It was one of the better ones that I liked. You'll also need glue. You can go crazy with the glue stick. I used the glue stick and it's absolutely fine. You'll need a ruler and some scissors and a hole punch, bone folder, and a scoring tool, and if you've got one, a scoreboard. If not, the ruler and the scoring tool to do some scoring of the cardstock. And you'll need some washi tape, which I'm sure I have here. There we go. Some washi tape, because that is how we're going to be connecting and reinforcing some of these. So get some that works with your theme here that you like. And then obviously alternative things to decorate: stamping ink, I have alphabet and number stamps. That's what I used here for these ones. But you can just use book page. You can make it your own, basically. So the first thing I'm going to do then is to prepare the Amazon packaging so that it is more or less A3 size. So if I look at this, it's slightly smaller. So this one's going to probably come out just a bit smaller than the original one, which is about 10.5 centimeters. So about 4 inches by 5.5 inches, 14 centimeters. So if you have a bit smaller, that's fine. But remember that because of that, your pockets are going to probably be a little bit smaller as well. Okay, I am going to prepare the other ones off camera, just because you don't need to see me ripping up 6 sheets of paper. So make sure you have 6 sheets of paper that are largish and of the same size. All right, so now that you have your 6 pieces of paper, it is time to do some folding. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, with your first one, you want to make sure you've decided what the depth of the pocket is going to be. So how deep do you want this part of your pockets to be? So I did something about this much. These are a bit smaller, so maybe I'll just go a bit smaller. So in my case, we're looking at about 6 centimeters, so 2.25, 2.5 inches. And then you're going to want to fold down the part that's going to be your top flap. So at this point, you're going to decide what height you want, because actually you're going to be trimming the paper and putting on these cardstock flaps in the end. So you just want to decide, you could make it shorter, So you can make your flaps quite small like this if you want to make a smaller, more compact one. Or if you want to make it tall and skinny, you can just do that. But you just need some sort of flap choice. I think I'm going to go for a height of about, I quite like the smaller size. So I am going to keep mine a bit on the short side. Okay, so I will have to do a bit more trimming than you might. So it's up to you, obviously. Don't worry about the decoration part here and the writing and stuff, because that's going to be covered by gluing the pieces together and by the cardstock that you're going to be putting on. So then your next step is going to be to fold it in half. This is where the folder comes in handy. Okay, open it, fold it in half again, up to the middle fold. This is basic accordion stuff, isn't it? And then fold it in half again to the middle fold. Okay, so you're going to have 4 pockets. So 4 times 3 is 12. Both sides, you've got 24. And then when we put them together, then you can just fold it into the zigzag pattern. And there we go. We've got our first 4 pockets. So now we're just going to repeat again using our first one as our template. So I'll do this one slowly again because we want to have them more or less lined up in height and everything. So about the height I have here. And then the overall height is here. Doesn't have to be perfect, of course. There we go. And now because all your papers are more or less the same size, the folds should all be the same. So first you fold it in half. Then you open it, fold it to the midpoint. And do the same. Okay, and there we go. You have it. Obviously, you'll probably be adjusting how these fold once we put everything together, but for now, I'm just going to have them that way. Okay, I'm going to speed up now these ones here, and then we will get to the next part. Okay, so now that we have all 6 of these ready to go, it's time to actually start putting everything together. So here you might have to do some adjusting in the sizes, especially if you're like me and you did an extremely bad job at making everything square. If you already have A3 papers, that makes life easier, but you know, it's all about recycling and using what you have, right? So what you want to do then is you're going to want to have, so you're going to be putting 2 of these together back to back at a certain point. So you're going to make sure it goes the right way. So your top part is there, and this are going to be back to back and glued together. And then they're going to fold in together and fold in together. So in order to do that, first we need to make 12 of these on one side. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your washi tape, handy dandy, and you are going to basically tape these 2 bits together at the lines. So you're going to make a hinge just on this part, because this part and this part will be sorted afterwards, you'll be adding tape here. So basically all that we're doing right now, is use a stronger glue, and we're creating this hinge here, basically, to connect the pages together. So you're gonna do that with 3 of these, and then the other 3 on the other side as well. I'm just using plain masking tape for the back side because you're not going to see any of this anyway, so there's no need to make it pretty. We just want to make sure that it is secured. Okay, so now we have part A and side B. So we will be eventually, obviously one of these is going to have to get folded in the opposite way as to what it is. So I may as well do that now. Okay, so we're basically making mirrors on each side. And then we're going to be gluing that all together. And adding things to it to then turn this crazy mass of brown paper into something that's actually nice. I promise you it will turn out cool. She says, struggling to fold it. What we're going to do now, after I've folded everything, is remove a bunch of this bulk, which is causing it to not have crisp, clean folds. All right, so everything's been turned the other way. So now basically what we're going to be doing is making sure that each side is correct, and they will be like so. And you will have your booklet like that. But first we need to remove some bulk. So you'll notice that here, I've also made a little V divot basically in between these edges of these pages, and I've also brought in and mitered the edges of this part and cut each part separately. So although I didn't cut the pieces separate on the bottom one, I did do that on the top because of course each flap needs to be movable, whereas the pockets, it doesn't really matter. But you need to cut a little V here. Now the V part here, you can do it now or do it after you put the cardstock on, which is what I did. But I would recommend separating the pockets and cutting all of this part now, because it will make it a lot easier to glue everything in position. So I'll just show you here on one. attach these for a minute. So the next step is to decide how much overhang you want to leave for your cardstock to stick on. So I left about an inch. So I'm going to do the same here. And just to make life easier, I'm going to mark myself an inch and just draw a line across these. Okay, and now we cut. I'll save these because, you know, always useful. Okay, so now we're going to miter. I'm just doing this by eye, and basically I'm going here to the edge on both sides, kind of like making an envelope. So like this to the top corner. And you're going to repeat on every single one. It doesn't have to be exactly the same because you're going to be covering and you won't really see it. But it certainly helps to reduce the bulk and makes it a lot easier to work with. So now this should be a lot easier and a lot less bulky to fold now. Now is also a good time to try and straighten it up. You see how much thinner it's become. So I am going to do exactly the same thing off camera with the other one, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have done all of my mitering on both of these, and now it's time to put them together and to glue them together. That's what I meant to say, not put them together. So you're going to want to make sure everything is in its spot. And everyone is lined up as best they can be. And then you're going to want to take your handy dandy glue stick, open up, and begin gluing, trying your best to line them up and keep them lined up as best as possible. Do not be skimpy with the glue stick. Go crazy, go overboard if you want. Okay, then you're going to want to leave it to fully dry with a weight on it just to keep it pressed. If you want, you could also go around with like a sewing machine under here and some of the edges, but I would wait to do that until you've done at least the bottom pockets, so that way if you wanted to, you could also sew them in the same go. But I'm going to leave this to dry a bit, and then I will be back and we are going to start the actual decorating part. Okay, it's the next day now. This video takes some time, and this has been sitting all night, pressed under a weight, so it's flattened out quite a bit now. And now is the time where we're going to start doing the finishing touches, which is the decorating with the cardstock and basically making it into something a bit more cute rather than very rustic. I've already decided on the scrapbook paper that I want to use to decorate it. I feel like it's getting a kind of a grungy style to it on its own, so I chose slightly more grungy-ish papers from the pad. From my experience, you will probably need 2 pieces of paper for each one. So I've used 2 different types here, and then I used 2 different types here, which were quite similar actually, but just to give it a bit of variety. So these 2 here with all the writing and the more simple ones, I think I'm going to use them as the bottom bit. And then these ones here, I'm going to use to make the tabs. The top part, this part here. So the first thing I'm going to do is work on this bottom bit. Now this part might be slightly different for each of you, depending on the size of your base. But I'm just going to measure it roughly, and of course you can decide it. So it's about 2.5 inches, so about 6.5 centimeters by slightly less than 4 inches, which is about 9.5 centimeters. So the last one I did was exactly 4 inches, so it was quite easy to score. But in general, you can get 3 sides from each strip, and about 4 strips from each 12 by 12 sheet, if that makes sense. So the first thing we're going to do is just go on the back and mark the height. Now I can make this even shorter if I wanted to and trim the pockets, which I might just do, make it slightly shorter. So we'll keep it at 6.5 to make it even. Make sure you have it marked at the right spot. And just mark 6.5. It's gonna leave me with a little strip that then you can use for whatever it is that you want. And now, just to make my life somewhat easier, I'm going to use my cutter and cut my strips. You can of course use craft knife, scissors if you can manage a straight cut. I can't. And now this is where your scoring tool comes in handy, because in order to get a nice clean bend around that, if we score it, we're able to make a good clean curve, if that makes sense. So again, I forgot what my measurement was, about 9.5. So I am going to score my centimeters here, my papers at around 9.5. Okay, so in my case, I have a bit of extra here on this one because the other one didn't have extra. I didn't have that problem, so you can just snip that off. But you see that now, if you have it scored, it makes it a lot easier to fold. And when you do this, because of the bulk, you are going to have extra space here, and that is where your washi tape comes in to make your pocket. And it also seals that end pocket for you, so you don't have to glue it. I hope I just got that. So the washi, and it seals the end pocket. I'm not sure how my vision is doing. I should probably check I'm in frame. I am. Okay. So that is one. Now I'm going to continue to score the rest of my papers and trim them so that we have one for every single pocket, and then we're going to attach them. So I'll just do one more scoring on screen and then I'll do the rest off screen. Okay, so I'll do the rest off screen and then I'll be back. Okay, so these are all ready, and I also gave them a quick ink around the edges and inked just a little bit on this part here of the folder that you'll see, just because it's easier now that you can open everything to get in there. But obviously if you want, you can decorate the back with a card, with a quote. I mean, obviously you can do some stamping, you can do whatever you like to really add your own personal touch to it, but that's what I've just decided to do for now. So now the next part is pretty self-explanatory. We are going to just glue these on, and I haven't trimmed this bit here yet, just because it might be easier to trim it after to make sure I've got the right distance and stuff. And you will probably need this just to help push everything around the corner to get it as crisp as possible. So I would line up the corner to corner because on the edge, we are going to be adding the washi tape to it. And because this is writing, it's probably best for me to make sure it's actually in the right direction. So let's do that actually. And so this is going to go this way. Okay. And we're going to start lining this up here. So what I do is just do this to make it easier to glue, and then I'm just going to be cutting that later, if that makes sense. And do not be skimpy with the glue. I have gone through a lot of glue sticks to make these samples. But if you're not skimpy, it will serve you in good stead. And try and make sure it lines up with the bottom. And then we can do all the rest of it in a minute. So now while the glue is still a bit damp and you can position it, you can do your divots, your little V, and trim anything. So to make it go better, just go down, do your V, pull it out. Now you see your pockets will close a bit better without extra bulk. So I am going to just trim off my excess bits here, here, and my pockets weren't straight, so I'm just going to go in okay, and here as well. I was a lot more precise with my first one, I'm not gonna lie. And now we repeat. So you're going to find the one that you want, make sure it's the right way around if you're like me, and glue it in, do your divots, cut off your excess, and make sure everything is straight. So I'll just do another one. I'm going to do the rest of them off screen and I will be back once everything is glued in. Okay, so we are back. Everything has been glued, mitered, and sorted. So the next step is going to be to add the tape to just the edges and the corners where it's not closed. I have run out of glue stick, so I'm back to using PVA. And I prefer to glue the washi tape before attaching it, just to add a bit more strength on this part here. I also need scissors. Oh my God. I tell you, I really do spend more time looking for stuff than actually crafting. So just roughly measure it, cut a bit more. Add a bit of glue just to add extra stick, and then go half and half. Okay, that's one end. This end will require the same thing. Okay, and then you can go anywhere where you've got a join. For example, in here if you want to, but I don't think here it really needs it. I think where it needs it the most is where the joins are at the end of the page. So again, just keep repeating the same thing until you have done everything you need to do. If you wanted to, you could also choose to run washi tape on the bottom, ribbon, whatever you like. As I said, it's yours to do with as you please. So now we're in the almost final step. So what we need to do now is make the little flippy flap tab things. So these little guys. And it's quite easy. You might fiddle around with the first one, but then once you've got that, you've basically got a template for all the others, and it's just a matter of cutting them out and gluing them on. So what you want to do, you want to make sure that it will reach at least about 1.5 centimeters down, because you're going to have your circle and you're going to be tucking it into that. So when you make it for length, you should measure that as well. So from about 0.5 millimeter from the top bit of the flap to about 1.5 centimeters of your thing. So that's about 9 centimeters for me. So I want to make sure that my length is going to be at the longest point, 9 centimeters. Okay, and then I am going to just check my width. And again, the width should be from about 0.5 centimeter down, where you start mitering your edge, because you don't want to bulk up. So you're going to do that, but obviously you can, of course, trim it. So it's going to be a little less than 9 centimeters in width as well. Oh, it's all into the 9s. So for this first one, what we're going to do is we're just going to cut like a rectangle. Okay, and got to get the right one. So what you're going to do is you're going to use the straightest part, which obviously I did not do a very good job cutting it, but that's okay because we will be trimming it. So I am going to be using, okay, so the width is good. And I kind of want it to taper off kind of like so on that side there. So the first thing I'm going to do is square it off using my cutter, just to make sure everything is straight, because I am incapable of cutting a straight line. So that one is straight. Let's do you. You are not. So now I'm going to just cut one side the way I like it, check it, see that it works. Okay, that's good. And then obviously all we have to do is flip and do the same thing on the other side so that it's even. Okay, so the length is good. I like the corners rounded, so I'm just going to round the corners a moment. By hand, kinda, sorta. More or less, that's good. So, once you're happy with your first one, you use this as a template and you just trace it out along your cardstock until you have 24 in total. So you might need a few, complete with hair, a few papers to do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you can get about 9 per 12 by 12 sheet, depending on obviously the size of your thing. So I'm just gonna go off camera and finish tracing and cutting these, and then I will be back. Okay, so I have cut out quite a few of them, but I am only going to show you how to put on 1 or 2. Just because this video is starting to get very long and I have to still show you so many things, and so I'm going to then show you the finished product once it's all done and I can just finish it off camera. So all I've done now that I've cut it, I have inked around the edges a little bit, and I'm going to take my little booklet. I'm going to just adjust and measure, make sure everything fits more or less correctly. Add your glue. Probably would be smarter to put a piece of scrap paper underneath it. There we go. Press it down nicely. Okay, and then if you need to, you can just miter the edges, you can ink it, you can do whatever you want. So once you have these all done, then it's time to add your little tabs, your little numbers. You can make them square, you can make them circle. You can do whatever you like. What I've done is I have saved the scraps of the cardstock from cutting it out, and I took the scraps of the Amazon packaging and glued them onto the bigger pieces where I can get some circles. And all I'm gonna do is go in there So you do this, you make sure everything is right, and hopefully you punch it. There we go, that worked better. And then you can ink it. You can add your number. I'm going to do it later because I feel like this time, instead of doing it all nice and orderly, like 1, 2, 3, like I did with the other one. See here, I put the numbers all in nice order, right? 17, 18, 19, 20. I've decided I'm going to kind of do these ones randomly. So I'm going to add the numbers later and you will see the results. But basically, all you're going to do now is center your spot, put some glue on the bottom half, take it out just to let it dry a bit. Okay, and then there you have your handy little tuck. See? Super easy. A bit time consuming, but it looks absolutely cute and adorable. And it's a great way you can put all of your gifts inside these little pockets and stuff like that. And, you know, finish decorating the inside however you want. You could put some nice trim. As I said, you can do whatever you want with it. So I'm going to call this one done. I will show you the finished product once it's actually done. And now we're going to look at the second part of the, let's call them our Advent folios. I don't know. The second method of doing it with the paper bags. I will see you in a moment. All right, so now we are going to make the second one here, and what you'll need are some paper lunch bags and some scissors and some glue and your decorative elements, and that's it. So the lunch bags need to have a bottom, a flat bottom, in order to make this kind of flat thingy here. Now, the only ones I had were these ones here that I got from Tesco. And as you can see, they don't have the butt. We'll put it this way. But no need to panic because you can make it like I did. All I did was fold it a bit. And then just basically try and flatten it out. It's a bit faffing, but you get there in the end. So and there you go. So you have your butt or your bottom, your tab, your holder, however you want to call it. Okay. So once you have all of these sorted, you can start putting your journal together. I'm just going to make one more here, and that way I can show you the way it works, because then it's basically the same thing over and over again. You're just stacking and doing the same thing over and over again, which is really quite easy. Obviously, if you already have bags that have this on them, you will not have to be fiddling around like I am. More or less. I made them a bit different in size, but it'll work. It'll be fine. Okay, so here is the deal. All you have to do is fold your bag in half, but you need to make sure that this part doesn't go here. It needs to be able to tuck under here. It doesn't have to go all the way, just has to be able to get under there. Okay, and then you just fold it in half. You do the same thing with your other bag. Okay, and basically now all we have to do is back of the bag with the tuck onto this open flap here. So that's what we're going to do. But before we do that, we need to make the page that's going to tuck into here. And this is where the magic secret happens that this lady did. So you see how you've got this part of your lunch bag? You're going to trim just the top off. So just cut that to the edge. And so keep the two W bits, the two V's, attached to the bottom flap. And then you're going to do the same thing here. Okay, so you've got this page, and then you've got these together. So now what we're going to do is just trim the top one to open it and fold it up. You're going to be covering it anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfection. Okay, and this one up as well. So now what we're doing is we're going to glue these two together, and we've made a pocket, and this pocket will tuck under here, and then this one will attach to this one. And you could even like attach it just this way and add an extra pocket. So we might do that actually. I might do that. That means maybe I can get away with just using 3 bags instead of 4. Or you could just glue it and cover it all like I did with this one here. And then you basically just repeat, and you can repeat to infinity and beyond. So first, I'll stop talking and I'll actually start gluing. Okay. So this, I'm just going to lay that over. And that is this one done. And since I used wet glue and made a mess, I am just going to pull it apart and probably stick something inside it to stop it from gluing together. Like what? I don't even have a scrap piece of paper here. Oh well, just to do that. So that's one. Now you're going to take this one and you're going to glue it to this. You're going to line up the 2 spines and you're going to glue it on. Now, just because I feel like being fun, I am just going to glue here, here, and here so that I can add and turn that into another little tuck spot or pocket. You don't have to, but this is just me trying to save on lunch bags. Okay, so you line them up and just press it on. So now we actually have space here without doing anything else for 4 things. We have somewhere we can tuck here. We have a pocket we can slide things into. we have a tuck spot here, and we have our tuck spot here without doing anything. You might want to, you could seal that shut here because you're gonna have a little hole. You can just seal it shut if you want to make sure it's all closed. I'm just gonna do that. There's my, just on the edge here. There we go, so nothing falls out. But you've got that, this, and there. And then you can add belly bands and everything. So it's full of places to just hide stuff in. So I thought this would be absolutely perfect for an advent calendar type project. So now here we are again. We've got this. I'll show you again, this time probably a bit faster with a little less talking. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to leave it with just 3 bags. And I'm going to start decorating and filling the one from the back to the front. Because if you don't need to add any more, this is basically the end of your journal. So you would pop that like so, and you can decorate the cover and wrap something around the spine area and put a ribbon on it, do it however you want, and you would basically be finished with your book. If, however, you see, like I did, that you'll need a few more pages, then you can just go and add the next bag on top, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to gather some bits that I've already made ahead of time to decorate this quickly, putting some belly bands, papers, taking advantage of the different tuck spots and whatnot. Just doing that. And then I'll be back, and then we can just stick them in real quick just to give you some ideas. And then I'll just make a cover and a closure for it. I mean, you could even just make it close like that and that's it, right? So, you know, however it is that you want to do it. And then we'll put some ideas of what we can actually put inside these advent calendars. I really hope I'm not blabbering on too much. I'll be back soon. So this is actually in the evening and my kids were home, so I didn't do any talking. I am just going to make this, speed up this video a little bit, and you can just watch the process of how I put bits together and started decorating it, because this video is, as I said, getting quite long, and I still need to show you the ideas of what you can put inside your actual journals. So enjoy this. If not, you can just skip straight to the list of things that you can put in after here. Here it is, more or less finished. I just need to do the policy closure. I ended up just using the 3 paper bags. I had a ton of little tuck spots and things to use, so yeah, I didn't need extra ones on this. So I've got this one. I still need to put like a belly band here, more or less, or something. I've got 1, 2, 3 tiny little, let's see if I have a piece of something to show you here. 3 little spaces to tuck something in. We've got this one. I've got a space to tuck in here. We've got this pocket. I've got yet another pocket here. We have a belly band here with a little tuck spot here. I think you're getting the idea, right? You've got this one here. We've got a belly band here. You've got this one here. You've got a little tuck spot there. Of course, you have this. You've got that, right? You've got, sorry, something here you can use and still attach. And that's just the back. So it really is super easy and super fun. So now, as promised, here are a few ideas on what you could put inside your advent calendar. So I have gathered a few random things that I wanted to show you as ideas of what you could put in to your little mini calendar and how you could fit it in, you know, the little tuck spots and spaces. So just get one of these and this. All right, so some ideas are like little mini handmade notebooks that you could easily tuck into one of these, and you know, just they can open it and oh wow, there's my surprise, for example, in this one here. Or you could just hide it under a tab in there and then they don't even see it until they open it, for example. So that's one idea. These are great. You can use up scraps and get rid of a bunch of stuff and make lots of these and make different ones. It doesn't have to be Christmassy, because what we want is things that they can use throughout the year. So, you know, if you want to add 1 or 2 Christmassy things, that would be great. But what we want to do is give them something that they can use for other projects throughout the year. So little mini notebooks, notepads, that's one. Washi tape. So homemade washi tape, you can just, or store-bought washi tape, you just get a little piece of plastic. This is some of my homemade stuff, and you can just wrap it around. And then this one's big, but it's the first one I could grab. Easy to tuck in. You could even put it inside like a coin envelope that you've decorated, and put that in there. So that's another idea. Things that you have made. So here I have a little mini tag that I made. Here's a tab that I made that you can put on. This is a hidden paper clip, for example, that you can slide on there. So all of these kind of little things, they're really easy to just slide in and tuck into something, or to put inside a little parcel that you can unwrap, that people can discover what it is, and that kind of thing. So these little bits are really cute, things that you've made, things that, you know, are small and light that can be easy to send off. With that, we're talking stickers. Stickers are always a great one. They can fit anywhere. They can be of any kind. This is just one that I grabbed randomly, but you can pop them in. So stickers is one. Letters, for example, or fake letters, just basically papers or pockets that you've already made that they can use and enjoy. This is one of the letters I made in my letter folding tutorial. I can link it to you down below if you want to. So something just like this, it's just a piece of writing space that you can just tuck in here, you know, underneath one of these little, once I get there, one of these little tabs or something, and then, you know, they can open it up and you can have decorated the paper inside, for example. Yeah, you can go wild. It doesn't have to be this. This one's folded quite big, but you can fold them smaller, lots of different ways, but that's just an idea. Another thing is you can give them a folio. Mini folio that opens up and has lots of other little bits in it as well. If you wanted to, you can do something like that, that you can just tuck into a belly band or something that they can just say, oh, what's this? And open up and, oh, what a surprise. I've got other extra bits in my day. So you can do that. So something that's holding something else. So they can have not only what's inside it, but the actual folio or holder or pocket thing of their own. Another idea is original ephemera. So, for example, I could tuck in one of these. This is an old receipt of post office receipt, for example. This is an original, and this is an old recipe card that you can use. You could put a decorated index card. You could put tickets. I've got some old stamps here. These are old co-op stamps, I guess. Before we had loyalty cards, that's what you used to get, right? So I've got like some old stamps. So yeah, original things, tickets, bus tickets, museum tickets, all sorts of things. You can also put in decorative envelopes that you can either fill or just leave as they are, and then they can use them, for example. So yeah, lots of little things that you can do with envelopes as well. Here I've got just a little paper bag pocket thing, but you could use this to put things in there that they could use to make something. So for example, this is like a little bag of jump rings of different sizes that you could put in there so they can make their own dangles. I've got some brads here, cute brads. They would make for a great little surprise. You could tuck them into one of those envelopes and then they can open it, for example. So things that you can use to make other things. You know, clasps, book corners, that kind of stuff. That you might like to use. I've also got other things like not vintage original ephemera, but ephemera that you've made, stamped pages, bits of colorful paper that you really like, fussy cuts, tags, pages from books, for example, things that you've made. Things that you've gotten in little packs like this, all sorts of tiny things. Then there's also things like this. So you could give them a little card with some lace trim on it, or with some pretty string that's a little bit different, some ribbon. You know, just take a piece of cardboard or Christmassy paper, cardstock, cut off, and just wrap some lace or ribbon on it and stuff like that, that you can just also pop into one of those little pockets or into another envelope. The same thing goes for like strips of fabric, nice colorful fabric, applique pieces, bits of lace flowers. Like if you have one of these, you could cut like a couple of these little flowers and stuff that then they can use to make things. So that's an idea. And then I've got a whole bunch of other bits here. So little wooden, I can't remember how to open these, little wooden cutouts that you can use. So these ones are autumn ones, little leaves. They can use them in decorating pages, pockets. You can put a couple of these into a little envelope or a coin envelope or whatnot. Little mini tags and stuff that you've made yourself. So these are ones that I've made. I showed how to do it in a tutorial. This is one I made from a lid. It's got a cute sheep on it that I really liked. And these are just little bits that I've made that are all ready to go and be added to a paper clip or dangle or whatnot. So you can just make some of those and pop them in as well. Buttons. Who doesn't love a good button, right? So you can always throw in a few buttons. Little charms are always a good thing. So here, well, that one's a bit big, but you've got a few charms. An earring, for example, that they can deconstruct. So that goes into the broken jewelry section too, but that they can deconstruct and turn into a charm. Little bits. Look, there's a little Christmas charm on this one. You know, little bits that might be nice for them, to add into their journals. And the same thing, charms you can keep going with. For example, beads are always a great one. If you make paper beads, you could put in your own paper beads. You can put in beads that you found, vintage ones that you've got crafting things. And again, broken jewelry, which is one that, so this is a random one-off earring that I found. It didn't have a partner, but it was cool. This is another piece of, I think, a necklace, or is it a keyhole thing? Maybe it was supposed to go for a key, because that does kind of look like a key, doesn't it? And it does have screws on both sides, so maybe that's what it was. I don't know, something broken, some old bit. This is a crystal from an old lamp. This one was a little broken piece of a pendant. This is a piece of jewelry that I don't know was part of another piece. So we've got lots of things. I mean, this isn't, I think this was a clip-on earring or something. It's just the one. I mean, how awesome are some of these bits of jewelry? And you can make so much with these. Okay, other things that you could do, you could also like punch out some shapes. If you've got I don't have one, but if you've got a die cutting machine, you can get some die cuts. You can put in book pages. You could do napkins, tissue paper, a whole bunch of other things, cutouts from magazines that are really nice, things that you've made for that person that you know they might like. Yeah, so I mean, the options are endless. So I hope that I've given you a few ideas in case you were wondering what you could put in to your little advent calendar. And I really hope this video hasn't been too long. I know that there's a lot in it, so I'm hoping it wasn't too boring. And yeah, I'm going to end it here. So if you would like to join in on either of the Christmas Advent Calendar swaps, I will leave the link to both groups below in the description. And then yes, if you do join in, and if you're watching this because you're already participating, remember that everything needs to be received by the end of November. So we've got some time to still get everything going, but especially depending on where you're shipping, make sure to take the postage times into account. I cannot wait to see everybody's swaps and their surprises that they get, and I really hope that this will be a fun Christmas treat for all of us creatives out there. In the meantime, happy crafting and have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.